What's going on, Halloween fans? My name's Dave McRae. Imagine this, if you will. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends don't exist. It's just Halloween 2018. However, we take the ending of Halloween Ends, specifically the big kitchen fight and the death of Michael Myers, because remember, Michael didn't die in the compactor at the junkyard. That was just the disposal of his body. He actually died right there on the kitchen island. He bled out. That's where he died. So we take all that and we attach it to the end of Halloween 2018. Now, obviously, there'd have to be, some adjustments made. We don't get rid of anything at the end of 18. All that epic battle, we keep all that because we want this to be an epic finale, right? But instead of having it in the kitchen, we move it to the basement. Okay, and maybe there's still like some sort of big table or island type thing down there, like a big workbench or a big work table or something where Laurie does a lot of her like hammering and sawing or, whatever, right? I mean, that wouldn't be uncommon for a basement, especially one like that, right? So that's down there. And that's where it happens. That's where Michael dies. But instead of it just being Laurie, it's the three Strode women. I mean, I know Karen and Allison don't have the last name Strode, but you know what I mean. And these three women, they're in the basement. They look like shit. I mean, they've just been through hell. And we could even add some extra stuff in there too, right? To really kind of beef up the finale. I mean, this is the three of them against Michael Myers. And eventually they end up overpowering Michael. Now, there's many different ways that you can do that. I mean, Laurie's been preparing for this moment for 40 years. So it wouldn't surprise me that she'd have like horse tranquilizers or fucking, Bigfoot tranquilizers, in her purse or something. She comes out right in here or whatever. And remember, he's a man. Now, he still has that supernatural edge and that vibe, but this isn't Michael Myers from Halloween 6, is basically what I'm trying to say, right? So if you were to inject him with something that would now maybe you have to inject him with a bunch of them, but I'm just saying there's ways we can make it believable. Anyways, the point I'm making is that he's overpowered. He's feeling really kind of woozy from all this shit that's been injected in him. He's lying on that slab, same position, as above, so below, right? One hand up here, one hand down there, really great with the symbolism, knives right into his palms, and shit. Like, same thing as Ends. But now it's the three Strode women that overpower him. So Karen takes a knife and slices his neck. Allison takes a knife right into the side, and Laurie delivers the final blow, the wrists. And we watch the blood bleed out from his body and drip and roll off the table onto the concrete basement floor. And we notice that the shape is struggling less and less and less because not only was he injected with who knows how much of whatever Laurie injected him with, he's losing blood pressure really quickly. I mean, the blood is just pouring out all over the place, right? So it's more of a kind of situation, if you know what I mean. So then Laurie walks over to the corner of the basement and she grabs this big canister of gasoline and she walks back over to the shape and she just douses the shape in gasoline, just pours it all over him from head to toe. He's soaked, looks like he just got out of a pool or something. And then she takes a match and she lights it and she stands there for a moment looking, get maybe like this nice close-up of her, and she just lets it go. And the shape just goes up in flames and it's just this big inferno. And, the three women have to kind of step back because of the heat. It's like, holy shit. And Michael Myers is still lying there kind of struggling with some sort of last remaining. And it's kind of like, how is he still struggling? He's got this is the blood. And that's part of that supernatural element, right? It's like, how come he's still kind of, it is going to kill him, but it's just that little extra where you're like, whoa, what's kind of going on here? You know what I mean? And then eventually the flames and the lack of blood pressure and whatever Laurie injected him with it takes over. It subdues him and he just lies there and he's just burning and burning and burning. And you get this great silhouette shot of the three women from behind looking at the shape burning with the flames in front of them. You have like this great close-up of each one of them, maybe, going across them, landing on Laurie and just sitting there with Laurie as she watches the shape burn. And we can see that the mask is melting off and his clothes are melting and his flesh begins to melt off his body onto the concrete concrete floor into the blood. And then we begin to see bone start to seep through as the flesh continues to melt away from his face. We begin to see his jaw and, his teeth and things like that. And, he's literally just, the flesh is melting off his body. And that's important to see that, as gruesome as it would be. It's important to see it because it helps to communicate to the audience, oh yeah, this guy's not coming back. This is not a Halloween H2O thing. This guy's not coming back because he's not Freddy Krueger. He's not Jason Voorhees, right? Like his body is literally melting. It is melting away. So then the three women rush upstairs. Laurie ignites the rest of the house, right? And it just starts to go up in flames. And all the while the Halloween music is playing and it's building to that crescendo. But instead of having that shot of Michael standing in the basement with the flames around him looking up at us, which don't get me wrong is a fucking cool shot. Instead, it's a shot of Michael in the basement lying on that slab of concrete right in the center, engulfed in flames, the flesh peeling off him, falling onto the floor into his own pools of blood, and the inferno building all around him because now the rest of the house is on fire. And we put, the camera on some dolly track and we just pull out. We pull out as we watch the flames engulf him on all. It'd be crazy, wild. It'd be wild as the Halloween music is playing and shit. It'd be fucking wild. And then, of course, we cut outside and we see the three women rush outside as the rest of the house is beginning to go up, and you hear glass breaking and windows being blown out because the flames are searching for oxygen, and that fucking thing, that happens when the flames are looking for somewhere to go. And they rush out, and Allison rushes down the driveway because Laurie is still, she's really injured, right? And they rush down the driveway and along comes that truck, right? Same thing, along comes that truck. But we never knew who was in the truck. Even when you watch the movie now, we don't know who's in that truck. Well, you want to know who I say is in the truck? You want to know who's driving that truck? Corey Cunningham. Oh yeah, that's right. Corey fucking Cunningham is driving that truck. And maybe he knows Allison, right? Maybe they're friends. They go to the same school, right? Why not? And he's driving by and he's like, holy fucking shit, what's going on here? And he stops and Allison's like, Corey, you gotta get my grandma to the hospital. Like, holy fucking shit, I've got this. And he's like, what's going on? We don't have time to explain it right now. Blah, blah, blah. But that's where we're introduced to the character. Right there, baby. Right there. So from this point forward, you could sort of end it the same way with the three women in the back of the truck, Corey racing down the road trying to get them to the hospital, and we pan over to the knife and cut to black, roll credits. Or what might be better actually is to go back to the house, back to the burning house. We see them drive off and we see them in the back of the truck, and then we cut back to the house and we cut back to the basement and we see Michael's body still on fire. The house is still in flames, but it's really apparent now that this is almost a skeleton. Michael is gone. The flesh is gone, everything's gone. Just to reiterate that he's not coming back, right? And then you cut to black and you roll credits. And that right there sets up the Corey Cunningham story for your anthology route. And you basically take the Halloween End story as is, minus Michael Myers. You don't need Michael Myers. And you lift that story and put it into the next installment. So it's a sequel to Halloween 2018 and telling the story of Corey Cunningham, who was babysitting on 2019 a year later. And he was accused of murdering a child, which he didn't murder. And we see this all-American kid fall further and further into darkness because of the bullying and the fear from the town. The fear from the town thinks it's happening again and doesn't believe that he did not kill that kid. They believe he did. And Allison and him can get together. You can bring Karen into it. You can have Laurie in it as well, noticing the downward trajectory and the fear that is in his eyes. And this looks like a Michael Myers thing. You can have all that because, like I've said, remember, anthology films can be two things. They can be films or stories that are not connected to the larger universe, right? Like Halloween 3 has nothing to do with the first two films. Or they can be like Rogue One, which is an anthology film, and it is connected to the bigger universe. So you can have characters from other films in an anthology piece. And that's what this would be. So you can have Laurie Strode, bring back Curtis, bring back Karen, bring back Allison, you can have that. And it's the fear and the paranoia and the bullying from the town placed on Corey Cunningham, sending him further and further into darkness that ironically creates the very monster that the town is trying to get rid of, and the very stain on the town that they're trying to get rid of. Now, these layers right now are in Halloween Ends currently. But because we have no Michael Myers and evil essence transfer, we can get rid of that shit. And we can lean heavily into the psychological aspects of that, right? Which would be very fascinating. So it's almost like a psychological slasher at that point. Because Corey Cunningham does make that turn eventually. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe he sees like a story about Michael Myers, and there's something about the story that he likes or something. I mean, we can add a little bit of a supernatural something in there, a little bit of a sprinkle or something just to kind of make the audience go, that's interesting. I mean, after all, it is Halloween, right? And instead of the Michael Myers mask, because that's gone, he uses the Scarecrow mask. I mean, maybe we make it a little scarier maybe, but that's the mask that he uses, right? And he goes around, he slashes people in that. I mean, that could be really cool. Now, I don't know if this movie would be successful. I don't know if it would resonate with people. I don't know how it would end. I'd have to think a bit more about that. But those are my ideas that connect where the Michael Myers Halloween story probably should have ended. And the anthology route with this Corey Cunningham story, which I really like, just not with Michael Myers. And, that could be a great stepping stone for something. I'm just saying, man, it fits. For me, it fits, and it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Anyways, my name's Dave McRae. Those are my thoughts and my ideas. Comment below and let me know your thoughts, your ideas. Maybe you have some things to add to my ideas. Ooh. Get the discussion going below. Maybe this is the writer's room. Comment below and let me know your ideas. If you want to follow me on social media, you can. There it is. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That'll do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon.